add up those two numbers now for everything on your to-do list. Now, what do you put on your calendar first? The biggest numbers, the big rocks. You put the big numbers into your calendar first, and then you start scheduling the other ones. So that's one way to prioritize your list, your to-do list of how you put it on your calendar. So a second way, down at the bottom of page 9, it's called the paired comparison. So now, these items here, what are the items again? They're your to-do list, right? Now, what you're going to do is you're going to compare item 1 to item 2. Then you're going to compare item 1 to 3. And what you're going to do is you're going to ask yourself this question. If I could only do one, which one would I do? You're going to put a check mark next to it, a tick mark, a dot. Compare 1 to 3. If I can only do one, which one would I do? Put a check mark next to the 1. 1 to 4. If I can only do one, which one would I do? 1 to 5. And then you go back and you compare 2 to 3, 2 to 4, 2 to 5. And then you go back and compare 3 to 4. You compare every single item on your to-do list to every single other item, and you ask yourself the question, if I could only do one, which one would I do? If it takes you more than a millisecond to come up with the answer, you're taking too long. So you're just going through really quickly, this one, I would do this one, I would do this one, I would do this one, and what's going to happen is at the end, you're going to have a bunch of check marks next to all of your to-do items. Which one do you schedule first? The one with the most check marks. And you schedule those into your calendar with your big rocks. So that's the second way to prioritize your to-do. Now, remember, you don't do all of these. I'm going to show you 4. Pick one you like and use it. Some people are going to like ones for different reasons, for different time, whatever, fine. Pick one, do it. Okay. So the next one is we have what's called the importance time. Now, what's your items? Again, it's your to-do list. And just like the first one, you're going to give it two numbers. You're going to give it an importance and a time number. Now, there's a little magic decoder ring on page 10 in your book. So you're going to give it. So what's your rank of importance? 1, 2, or 3? What's your rank of estimated time it's going to take? 1, 2, or 3? Now, every item is going to get two numbers. This time, do not add the numbers together. Right? What you're going to do instead this time is you're going to look at the two numbers and you're going to use this little magic decoder. So what are you going to do with all the 1 1s, 1 2s, 1 3s, and 2 1s? Those are the ones you're going to schedule. Those are the ones you're going to take action on. Right? So every item now has two numbers. You don't add them together in this one. You just look at two numbers. Now, what do you do with the 2 2s and 3 1s? Right? You reduce them either by delegation, trading with people. Right? We'll get to more of that later today. But you reduce them. And then what do you do with the 2 3, 3 2s, and 3 3s? Get rid of them. And then the fourth way is Stephen Covey. Right? Stephen Covey, he wrote a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I can't believe I haven't mentioned his name yet today. Right? His book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and David Allen's book, Getting Things Done, are probably one of my top 2 favorite books around time management. Right? So this is the last way, which is on page 11. This is my favorite way. This is the way I use. Now what he does is he goes, there's 4 quadrants, right? You got important stuff at the top, and urgent stuff on the left, and not urgent on the right, and not important stuff on the bottom. So what are examples of stuff that would go into quadrant 1? Yeah, like being here today at 10, urgent and important, right? What else? Now, when I say what goes in quadrant 1, remember, you get to determine which stuff on your to-do list goes into which quadrant. So what you're going to do is you're going to go down your to-do list, and you're going to give everything in your to-do list a number. So what are some more examples of stuff that's urgent and important? Exercise might be important for some. Other people, that's not urgent or important. Right? But if it's urgent and important for you, it goes in 1. What else goes in category 1? Now, let me give you a little hint. You know what goes in category 1? Everything that you've already been doing. Because what do most of us do? We manage by crisis. Right? We do that which is most important and not most important. We do that which is urgent and important first. We're always doing what's urgent next, what's urgent next, what's urgent next. We do everything by what's urgent, what's urgent, what's urgent. So all the stuff you're currently doing usually is what you consider quadrant 1. So what goes in quadrant 2? Not urgent, but still important. Now here's the one where a lot of people get stuffed up, because what's not urgent, but yet still important? Planning. Almost none of us do that. Planning. We don't plan. We don't schedule. We don't take time to schedule our to-do list. We just do it off the cuff of our pants based on what's most urgent. And what Stephen Covey says is, the more time you spend in quadrant 2, the less time you'll spend in any other quadrant. So the first week, are you going to be able to schedule tons of quadrant 2s? Probably not. Because why? You have to do a lot of urgent stuff still. But the more time you force onto your calendar from quadrant 2, what's going to happen? The less urgent stuff you're going to have to do. So now we go down here to the bottom. It's not important, but it might be urgent or not urgent. So what is the quadrant 3? What's some of the stuff that's urgent, but not important? Go out to dinner might be there for some people. It's urgent because my friend really wants to go tonight to this new restaurant. It's very urgent. They really want to go. But to you, it's just not important at all.
What about the phone? Picking up the phone?
Yeah, answering the phone when it rings. Usually not important, but sure is urgent. Best example of stuff that's urgent but not important. You go away on vacation. You get a bunch of emails in your inbox. You come back from vacation and 2/3 of them have been handled because they realized you weren't there. So right? So they went and asked somebody else the same question. You get a ton of emails every day that are definitely urgent. Oh my gosh, I need this information now, but completely not important, because if you weren't there to answer it, what would they do? They'd ask someone else. They'd go find the answer. They'd look somewhere else. And so it's not important because they'll go somewhere else if you don't actually respond back. Most interruptions fit in category 3. They sure are urgent to the other people, but they're not important because if you're not there, they'll find someone else to interrupt. Unless it's your kid. Then it might be, exactly. See, you get a pick. You get to pick which quadrant goes where. Now, what's some examples of stuff that's not urgent and not important? Television. How many of you still watch TV?
That's important.
Now, some people go, no, that doesn't fit in quadrant 4, right? I personally disagree. I think it fits in quadrant 4. If you don't have a specific program that you're sitting down to watch, it goes in quadrant 4. Whenever you find yourself channel surfing, realize it's in quadrant 4. Now, does that mean you can't do stuff that's in quadrant 4? No. But realize it's in quadrant 4. Right? News, in my opinion, where does news go? 4.
Rubbish.
I got all the news I need to know, and I've never watched the news. Don't ever read the newspaper. Don't ever listen to the news programs on the radio. I guarantee you, I got everything I need to know to live my life. And I have a lot less negativity. So many people who are very successful, you know what they have in common? They don't watch the news or TV. You know, and some people, well, I need to know the news to stay up on current events because it's important. Well, really? Is that the case? Is that so? There's some guy, some of you might have heard of him. His name is Warren Buffett. He doesn't watch the news. Right? He invests in stock market all day long. He doesn't watch the news ever. He says it's pointless. I don't need it. So if he seems to think that it's useless to know about the news, and he invests in the stock market, interesting. Anyway, right, so anyway, the different quadrant. Now, who gets to say ultimately? You do. You get to decide what quadrant stuff goes into if you use this system. I'm just giving you my opinion. Do what you want with it. So now, once you go through, so now you're going to use one of these 4 systems. You're going to go through your to-do list, give it a number or 2 numbers, add them together or not, and now you're going to take those to-do items and you're going to put them on your calendar. You're going to schedule them a week at a time. Being honest with yourself, saying, you know what? This is what I can do. Leave 30 to 40% of your day blank. Don't tell yourself the little white lie. Now, what do you do with some of the other stuff? Here, now, this isn't in your book, but I am going to share it right here real quick because it's so powerful. It's, again, being honest with yourself. Right? I have what's called a never doing now list. I'm just never going to do it.